Hello, everyone. Welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around fantasy Premier League. My name's Suj,
And my name is James.
and we are at the end of game week 13. James, you were on wildcard. I was on free hit. A lot of people on triple captain, and we get a nice 48-hour turnaround before we're bang into it again. James, you're traveling up to Newcastle. Am I right in thinking?
Fuck knows why.
Okay, yeah, you are going the second time this season, right? You're going up to Newcastle. Yes.
I like Newcastle. That's about the best reason I've got.
Well, look, it's a good a reason as any. It's a good a reason as any, but the game week's coming thick and fast. We are about to review the games from game week 13, how we did, some good, some bad, some meh, and keep it moving.
Okay, go on then. How was this free hit for you?
I shouldn't complain, really. I ended up on 67 points, which was about 22 to 24 points more than what my regular team would have scored. I guess it depends who you would have put in from your team. And plus, I could have maybe made a transfer had I not free hit it. I do think it's a little bit of a moot, I should say, comparison, because I wildcarded the week before, right? And I wildcarded knowing that I was going to free hit in this week anyway. So I didn't pick a lot of players that I was going to free hit in because of the wildcard. So either way, 22 points up on where I would be on my regular team was fine. I think I was the best part of 20 something points up on safety as well, James. So ended up with quite a monster rank rise. I had dropped down to like 858k after wildcard, from 617 up to 330. I'm gonna say that is
My highest rank of the season.
Yeah, I didn't even realize. Yeah, 330 up to highest rank of the season off the back of that wildcard. So pretty happy with that. Obviously, I went with double Manchester City defense. Let's ignore Haaland because we all had him, and commiserations to those who triple captained him. I went double City defense rather than Foden or Doku. Both of them getting an assist in the first half looked pretty nice, didn't it? And then straight after half time, that guy DCL comes and ruins the clean sheet.
No, Matthias Nunes specifically ruined it.
Okay, fair play. Yeah, it did look good at one point where I was thinking, wow, I didn't expect them both to get me an attacking return, and they did. Not anywhere close to DEFCON. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. Thiago obviously helped my Saturday as well, coming in with the 13-pointer. The story of Sunday was double Aston Villa clean sheets, Cash and Martinez, Virgil van Dijk clean sheet, and Cody Gakpo coming in with a 14-pointer. Mo Salah, obviously no show, which meant Nathan Collins came on for a 4-pointer as well. So I had a little bit from almost everybody except from Rodgers, Sade and Haaland. I either had an assist or a DEFCON or something from basically everybody else, which worked out nice. So yeah, 67 points up to 330k. I'm fairly happy with that. I get my my normal team back now as well.
Good. How are you set for this week? Know what you want to do?
Well, we're going to discuss it, James. We talked about off air before we get when we get through the games. The biggest concern this week is obviously who plays and who doesn't play. So as it stands, my bus team is Petrovic in goal, Everton at home. That's fine. I've got Calafiori, Van Dijk and Lacroix across the back three. Again, Brentford at home, Sunderland at home, Burnley away is fine. My midfield is Gakpo, Rice, Semenyo, Bumo. All home fixtures, Sunderland, Brentford, Everton, West Ham is fine. João Pedro's got Leeds away, Haaland with Fulham at home. I've armbanded Haaland as it stands, and then Mateta with Burnley. So the only away fixture is against promoted teams in Burnley and Leeds for João Pedro and the Crystal Palace boys. First sub is Nico O'Reilly with Fulham away. Now, I don't think I don't know on João Pedro. I feel João Pedro is a risk. He went off, didn't he, I would say relatively early yesterday.
Yeah, you've got to think about the
and
context of
Cole
the next one for
Palmer
Chelsea.
is back on the bench, so I could easily see Palmer playing with Liam Delap, and then João Pedro gets a rest. So I'm concerned about João Pedro, and I'm concerned about Calafiori. I think managed to get himself booked yesterday. Again, the quick turnaround, home fixture.
But he only played the 45.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it that makes me concerned about California and Pedro. The rest, I'm not overly concerned about, to be honest with you. I think all of the others will play.
No, I don't think you're sat too badly there. I think
What's the worst case if Califiori doesn't play? O'Reilly.
Well, the worst case is just Calafiori comes on for 10 minutes at the end, isn't it? It's your worst case.
Yeah. So as it stands, I would like to roll, James. I mean, the rest of my bench ain't great. Alderate and Potts with Liverpool away and Manchester United away. But I'd rather roll, to be honest, than force something.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you thawed off from Saturday night? It was chilly, wasn't it?
Mate, no, I've colder. Probably be colder in Newcastle tomorrow night, I should imagine. No, Malick Thiaw, 16-pointer on the bench, James. I'm delighted that I don't have to buy him. He's there. He's in. He's ready.
Yeah, it's always the way, isn't it? When you get points on the bench, be happy that you've got them rather than anything else. Because if nothing else, you've got value. I guarantee you, James, he's not going to score twice in a game before the end of this season.
No, probably not. No, I'm pleased with it. I can't look at my team in any way and go, oh, we should played him. That was never a consideration. It was getting him ready for these 2 home games that come in this week, and possibly longer term, a good run they've got towards the end of the month going into January as well. So I'm really pleased that he's in there, and I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, I need to deal with Senesi suspended and go and buy him. And he does look like certainly a contender for those who are looking for a Senesi replacement. And there might be plenty of those with Bournemouth playing Chelsea and Manchester United straight after his suspension as well. And they ain't keeping a load of clean sheets. 51 for me on Wildcard. I'm quite happy with that. There's only one real decision that's been bothering me, and I'm annoyed with myself, but also there was logic in the decision. I can't look at Doku versus Foden and have any complaints. Wasn't keen on Foden whatsoever. And as a consequence, I would have had to go with something cheaper elsewhere. The one that's bothered me is Utara. He's the one that's bothered me. I was sitting there on a deadline stream going, I actually think Utara is a better pick this week than Sade. I convinced myself on Sade that I'd want him for game week 16 onwards. I'm not even sure that I do now. So I was like, well, that's going to save me a transfer on the path. I didn't want to get lumbered with too much AFCON stuff, knowing Bumo's going to have to go at some point. I should have gone there. I should have gone with Utara. That's the only regret. I'm not going to go and chase that, by the way, obviously. 51's okay for me this week. Thiago essentially means it's a green, along with Van Dijk's clean sheet and Bart Verbruggen high-scoring goalkeeper of the week. And the other player I'm really pleased I went with is Nick Voltemade, who was quite a difficult one to put in when you're kind of locking in on Saturday mornings. It's like he's going to go down in price tonight unless he scores, basically. And even though he'd scored, he was still on the projections a couple of hours before I went to bed, like looking like he was going to go down in price. The fact that he didn't, and now there's people want to invest with him, I'm pleased I've got them Newcastle boys in place, and there's every chance I'll be adding a third ahead of the game tomorrow night. So I went with Verbruggen, Dubravka, leave that long term for the keepers, min spend essentially of 8.4 unless I wanted to go for 2 4.0s. Dubravka covers the Verbruggen difficult fixtures, like they've got Arsenal, Liverpool, City all away. Burnley have home fixtures, all those games. Long term, that's fine. Munoz in, Van Dijk, O'Reilly, Timber, Malick Thiaw. No intentions to be touching that 5 for any time soon. There's every chance I'll be starting all of those 5 this week, possibly. Bumo in, ahead of United's 2 brilliant home fixtures. Rodgers was in with a view of he'll be great for Christmas because he always plays. And also, if I deem him as just a 1-week punt, that's fine. Doku, Sade, Minter. Minter was more about having him for the home fixtures, so I'd benched him this week. Thiago, Haaland, Voltemade. My intention is to hide the 2 Brentford players, obviously, for this week away to Arsenal. And the transfer deliberation for me is probably quite straightforward this week. I want to buy Bruno Guimaraes. I said that on the weekend or on Friday. It's the choice is whether I bin Doku or Sade. that's probably where I'm at. And there's every chance my transfer for 15 might be moving the other one or Morgan Rogers down to Dewsbury Hall to then get ready in 16 to move the other one that I don't sell up. So I just need to kind of work out my plans on that. Seems to have come through the weekend with no injury issues. In terms of rotation, the back five makes me feel more comfortable in that. I think there's a chance O'Reilly doesn't play, there's a chance Timber doesn't play. My thoughts on Timber, Calafiori, Suj is they'll probably both play because of the circumstance of Saliba. We don't know if he's going to be back for this week or not. But if Saliba and Gabriel are both out, I think you'll want Timber and Calafiori to play. That's my view at this moment.
I can understand that. I mean, obviously, if you're missing your two main centre-backs, that is a little bit concerning for Arsenal. Chelsea played well yesterday, though Brentford will give them a slightly different challenge, maybe more akin to the challenge that they had with Sunderland, with a little bit more of a physical battle potentially. Yeah, but it is at the Emirates. That's the only thing I would say.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll win. And Brentford, the one thing I'd say about Brentford, they'd probably pitch a strong team again because they don't play Leeds till Sunday. They're one of the few teams that's got a four-day turnaround. Manchester United have also landed quite nicely over this period. Is 14 of the 20 teams have a 3-day turnaround from game week 13 to 14. Like, there's going to be some shit here. That's why I'd said weeks ago, Salah won't play 13, 14 and 15. I didn't think it would be the 13 game that he missed out.
No, I mean, I had him on free hit, so that was quite the surprise to see him not start.
For Salah owners, I'm sure he'll be back in the team Wednesday night.
Yes.
If he's not, then we have a discussion point. But until then, I'm sure he'll come back in.
If I'm really spooky on Pedro, then Voltemade is where I'd go from Pedro. It's literally pound for pound, 7.4 to 7.4. And like you said, he's got a good 3 next fixtures. I mean, going all the way to Newcastle to watch Tottenham away, James, with 3 Newcastle in your team, what could go wrong?
Could have a good FPL week. That's the most likely.
Oh dear, yeah. I can understand that. Good. What's the content schedule for this week? Because we do have a full set of midweek fixtures. I know we're reviewing the game week on Thursday before Manchester United host West Ham, right?
Yeah, so game review podcast on Thursday, so we can cover off the 9 games played across Tuesday, Wednesday. Me and David will cover off United West Ham on the weekend and have a look forward to game week 15 on Friday. Clash of Correspondence tomorrow is Burnley versus Crystal Palace with Jack Turner and Rory McLaughlin-Dowd. Obviously, Palace looked pretty tired yesterday, and Ismail Assar now likely essentially for them unavailable till whenever he comes back from AFCON, I would guess. Wednesday, that show with Nico returns. A bit of light-hearted football entertainment for you. On Patreon, we've got differential show, game week previews on Tuesday, Friday, Q&A today. Me and Clayton are doing a quiz for Wednesday called An Englishman Abroad. Not that he knows that yet. And Thursday be Tottenham Arsenal, which should be the first time me and Clayton sitting down together to discuss Tottenham and Arsenal at the same time. Yeah, you can't wait. I'm sure my mood will improve massively by the time that comes around.
The first time since previewing the North London derby, right?
Well, we'll do the quiz. We'll pre-record the quiz today for Wednesday,
right, okay.
But we'll hold the. Well done, mate. We'll probably hold that back down for Thursday. I could well do with Brentford getting a result. I think on Wednesday night, I've not got much hope of my team getting one. I don't think it's probably as likely Brentford gets signed at the Emirates as my team does at St James's. I think. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. Those of you might have heard on the deadline stream or a few other bits of content towards the end of last week and also posted on socials. All patrons are being bumped up a tier throughout the month. So intermediate patrons will have access to all the advanced tier content. Basic tier patrons have access to all the intermediate tier content. Even free members will have access to a podcast every week, at least, one podcast a week throughout December. So if you want to support the show, there's really no reason not to. Our game week preview tomorrow, the differential show, will be available for free members. Every patron who is signed up, even as a free member, will have access to that podcast tomorrow. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl.
Wow, basic plus, James, is what, £3 or something like that?
Basic is £3. That gets you all the no-ad content.
That will get you all intermediate shows for the entire month?
Yeah.
Wow, for £3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit biased because it's our own product, James, but that's pretty good flipping value.
Thank you.
Not only that, the Slack
Christmas, isn't it,
community, the
nearly?
prize leagues, and everything else. Yeah, that's 20 shows that you'll be getting additional access to this month, give or take, bits and pieces here or there. It's like 15p a show. Wow.
Do you know what it is? What I've decided to do for December is give out gifts in the way Tottenham do. Basically,
Okay.
we're doing our patron like Guillermo Vicario. Basically, it's a giveaway, kids. Get yourself in there. Get yourself on a Harry Wilson little £3 a month. Yeah, go to Basic Plus as well.
I thought you meant you were going to open the doors to your lovely abode and just let people take whatever they wanted because
if people want to take my wife, I'm up for negotiation. Basic Plus, you've got access to the Slack community as well.
Yeah,
and
fix your planning spreadsheet. Yeah, exactly that. Come and give it a go and have a bit of fun with us over Christmas. We'd love to have you as part of our Patreon community. If you do it for a month, great. If you don't enjoy it, leave. If you do, we'd love to have you stick around. Right, let's talk through some of these games, James. We'll try and keep it fantasy relevant. Quick turnaround. I know people got plenty of content they want to consume between now and tomorrow's deadline. Brentford 3, Burnley 1. All of the goals coming late in the end, James.
Yes. Obviously, the two
Brentford's
penalty
XG of
decisions.
3, right? So
Eventually, yes. Thiago has proven himself to be a great asset, isn't he? I know people can take the viewpoint of, there's a lot of pen spamming going on and that. But there are one or two teams every year who just seem to regularly pick up penalties, and Brentford are one of them now this season. I think they've given a number away as well. So statistics, they're nearly like one penalty a game, like either for or against so far this season. I can't remember what the exact total is, but they've obviously had one at either end and this one again. Thiago is a great long-term forward to have in FPL. But if you're not going to invest this week ahead of Arsenal away. My intention would be to hide him and bench him this week. And if I lose players because they're unavailable and he's coming on, I've got a penalty taker coming on, fine. It's the only fixture I would consider leaving him out for at the moment. Like he plays for me at Tottenham at the weekend, like no doubt about it. But yeah, Brentford assets should probably try and hide this week. Burnley, I don't want to speak about too much. Obviously, Jack's on COTC. The other note on Brentford is there'd be a few players you might have invested in, like Collins and Sade. They went into the weekend on 4 yellows. They obviously still are. As said earlier, I don't think Brentford will rotate too much at Arsenal, and it might bring like Yarmouk back in. I could see maybe Christopher Jair coming in at left back just to give them a little bit more height on set plays, etc. But yeah, good win for Brentford. Like ticking over really good. Underlying data's pretty good. They've essentially had really tough home fixtures this season against all pretty much near enough European qualifiers, except for Manchester United and obviously this one with Burnley. They're doing very well. But Thiago is the standout.
Oh, absolutely. I sold him on Wildcard knowing that I'd buy him back in free hit, but then avoid the Arsenal away, Tottenham away until I guess I must have forgotten what your home record is like. So there's every chance at the weekend he's the transfer that I get back. But I'll end up with Voltemade, Haaland and Mateta. And Mateta's got a reasonable fixture at the weekend with Fulham. So I still may make that move and get Thiago back because after 16, they have a really good run, don't they?
I wouldn't say it's a really good run, but there's a few more there, aren't there? It's Leeds 16, Wolves 17. Bournemouth at home 18. Bournemouth are conceding loads of goals on the run on the road, so that's a good fixture. Looks at 19. All Tottenham at home as well. Then Everton away, Sunderland at home. Yeah, I mean it's a pretty reasonable schedule for Christmas. And he's another one. You're probably pretty good for the minutes over the Christmas period as well. Those who don't own will want to buy, I think, in 16.
Yeah,
and I think just preempting this as well, I can see a little bit of a Mateta to Thiago move in that week specifically. Mateta's plays City. If Mateta has a couple of quiet weeks, I could see people wanting to make that move. At the same, people are going to have 5 free transfers. Might also be that people want to get up to something like Saka or Eze at that point in time. Yeah, I can see those not on Thiago probably got plans to probably bring him in 16, I think.
Yep, exactly that. Good. Burnley, avoid. I don't think there's anything interesting there at the
Yeah, the
moment.
only thing is, obviously, look, you've got reliability in terms of the minutes moving forward. There are a few where you could use for decent rotation purposes. So, like, for example, they play Fulham at home in 16. It is a reasonable fixture when you've got things like Palace and City. So, like, O'Reilly's now going to be really popular on top of Munoz, Gay, etc. It might be the sort of week you go, okay, yeah, I'll happily play Esteve in that sort of fixture. Similarly, for me, like, I'm probably playing Dubravka in that week because Verbruggen goes to Liverpool. So it's not a complete overlook. And it's worth saying Fleming's got 4 in 5, Suj.
Yeah,
So,
but then do you think he's a first choice now?
well, he scored 4 in 5. Why are they going to take him out of the team?
Um,
And actually, him and Foster both played at the weekend. Used Foster in a more withdrawn role. I do think Jaden Anthony will probably come back into the team for the game against Palace.
yeah. Okay. I'm not really looking at any Burnley. Dubravka can sit there for now, but I don't know when I'll be using him for now, to be honest with you. Let's talk about Manchester City 3, Leeds 2. Phil Foden, first minute, 91st minute, pops up with goals. Well done for everyone that went there. I know a lot of people have been talking about how he's been playing particularly well recently and getting a lot of 90 minutes, but his output hasn't particularly justified picking him. I think historically, yes, over like however many seasons you want to go back now, he has done well. But Doku was the more fun pick, wasn't he, really?
Points are fun. I keep saying that to you recently, Suj.
Yeah,
So
points are fun too, to be fair.
I think if I reflect on my comments last week about what I said when they played at Newcastle was that him and Cherky were operating in the same zones quite a bit.
Yeah.
I actually think I've not seen a lot of the game, but I think there might be a little bit of a context here of the fact that it was Cherky was the player we've replaced for Reinders in the lineup was kind of like the one surprise might have benefited just
Yeah.
in terms of his operating, and that seemed to be operating on the right a lot more. And Cherky in the game against Newcastle, obviously coming in and operating in similar zones. I think they were operating in the same place quite a bit, so that might have been a real benefit for him. That's just something to note. I'm not saying Cherky's bad for Foden, but it is something to be aware of because I think Foden probably it does operate from a goal scoring perspective better in that right half space than left half space. I like him in the left half space. But when he's in the right half space, kind of a la Parma, he can obviously step inside and do what he's done in terms of the winning goal is absolutely brilliant. The fact that he's moving away from goal, manages to wrap it. And I like the first goal as well because his first minute of the game, he's like, right, I'm going to get in now. So that's really, really positive. And those who went there will be pretty happy with that. I think he probably will play again tomorrow night, by the way, Phil Foden. Pep spoke about him a few months ago and said, with him, when he's in a good moment, you need to keep playing him. So I think Foden will start again tomorrow night. So I'd be surprised if he didn't. Then you've got a 4-day turnaround to the weekend. You're probably okay. So I don't think City will change too much in terms of selection tomorrow night. You might get something like that. Cherky, I think, there's a probably to come back into the team. I don't think he's going to muck about with it too much defensively. So I think he's probably looked at, he changed the whole team against Leverkusen last week, didn't he? He's probably going to look at this and go, right, okay, Saturday, Tuesday, that's a block. And then they've got Saturday, Tuesday again. I think Saturday, because they go to Real Madrid next week and now they've lost to Leverkusen is more important. Saturday's a little bit more of a nervous one. And I look at that from the perspective of a Doku owner and think, yeah, I could easily be going into the weekend if he plays 90 again on Tuesday as he did on Saturday, going, oh shit, I wanted him for these home games. Now I'm not sure he's going to play in a fixture like this because he definitely plays in the Bernabeu. So I must be looking at that going, if he plays tomorrow night, is he getting a break against Sunderland? He might be.
What's your thoughts on defensively? Nico Riley, like he's similar as Foden
He's
in his 90,
absolutely
90,
brilliant.
90, 90, 90. I'm not bothered about whether he's brilliant or not, James. I think that's agreed. Is he due a rest at any point?
Look, he's not going to play every game in December. And that will apply to the
Nori was
majority.
on the bench.
That will apply to the majority of City players. I mean, Haaland, for example, you'd probably book now and say he probably doesn't play the Carabao Cup quarterfinal, but probably does play all the Premier League games. What I would say with O'Reilly is I don't think that there's any doubt at all that he's first choice ahead of Nori. Now, somewhere in there, Nori is probably going to play, but Pep will want to do it at a safe time. It might be that it's something like West Ham in 17, could be 15. They'll have a lot of the
Sunderland at
ball
home.
against Sunderland. Yeah, could be. Absolutely could be. But I think he'll probably pick quite a strong team again tomorrow night. So the consequence for the weekend is probably worry about tomorrow night. I think the majority of the City guys will probably play again. I feel like the takeaway from this, though, is actually, oh, just one thing more to say on City. Donnarumma's now 4 yellows.
Time wasting.
I don't know how he's
I bet
managed that.
I bet they're all time wasting.
Probably.
Yeah.
So you might be aware of that because I know a few people keep talking about him and obviously will maybe own. Just be a little bit aware of that. It's Leeds' tactical switch and what they did. So the game is essentially won for City at half time, isn't it? You go to the Etihad, you're 2-0 down at half time. No one's expecting anything from there. And Daniel Farke, we said towards the end of last week, there is speculation that he's essentially done and Leeds are waiting for a work permit on a new manager.
Yeah, you did say that that's potential.
He's made a really cute tactical switch here. I thought Leeds would go back 5. They didn't, but it switched to it at half time, brought Bijou on. But it didn't go 5-4-1. They went 5-3-2 and went kind of unapologetically direct and got City's defenders turning towards their own goals. So put Calvert-Lewin and Nemecha right up front together. And it worked. It really gave City problems. And I wonder if we might see, as a consequence of that, more teams play, not necessarily the 5 at the back, but the 2 up front against City. Might be something to keep an eye on, just watch for as a little trait. Leeds' underlying numbers, by the way, so they're not terrible. Like their underlying data suggests that they probably should be ahead of that pack of that kind of bottom 5. Feels like it's a little bit cut from Fulham now following their win at the weekend.
It's a 5-point gap, I think, now from Forest to Fulham, right?
It feels like it. But Leeds are performing okay. The problem is the fixtures have got a rough as hell. But I do think there's a little bit of an opportunity for them this week in the sense that the 2 home games against Chelsea, Liverpool, you can say it's a bad time to have them all close together, but those 2 teams are potentially going to rotate a little bit in those 2 fixtures. Then it eases up a little bit for them, but the fixtures never get great. And there's a concern, obviously, getting cut adrift. But I think they should probably be quite positive about what they've done at the weekend. They're obviously, in the end, pretty unlucky not to win it. I had Soccer Saturday on and Michael Dawson was covering the game. With 10 minutes to go, he said, there's going to be a winner. I don't know which way.
Yeah.
So they've obviously given themselves like a pretty good account of themselves. I think you're continuing to see vulnerability in Manchester City, but it shouldn't put you off O'Reilly. If you're not on, like if you free hitted this week and you put him in and you're thinking about putting him in this week, I'd probably still do it. He's going to get continued investment.
Cool.
And yes,
right.
I'll be captain Haaland this week.
Yeah, I'm the same. Do you know what makes me most nervous with Haaland? It's the 2 blanks. Like he rarely goes 3 without scoring.
He only had, I think, 1 shot at the weekend, I think.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant, isn't it? For someone like Erling Haaland.
I think it's a lot to do with one of the questions I was having last week was about like triple captain 13 versus 17. Anyone went 13, like it's easy to go afterwards. But the difference I felt between the 2 was that someone like Rodon would really latch onto him, as we've seen people like Craig Dawson do in the past, and just like, right, whatever happens around happens. He ain't doing it today. West Ham might take that similar approach in 17, but Haaland will bully the fuck out of whoever does that to him.
Yep.
Whereas I think Rodon is up for the battle.
Cool. Let's talk about Sunderland 3, Bournemouth 2. This home form at the Stadium Light has really helped Sunderland, hasn't it? I predicted this to be a 2-2, James. I thought it would be high scoring because I've seen Bournemouth's defensive frailties that are not going to get any better now that Senesi is not available. And Brian Brobby does what he did against Arsenal, comes up with the late goal, right?
What a turnaround from them. To come back from 2-0 down against a side like that.
So early.
Yeah, that's brilliant. But I think the manner as well, I mean, the goal was the first one. I have to say, Semenyo owners are really unlucky not to take anything away from that weekend. It's essentially his assist on the first goal, but Evan Nilsson doesn't score, and then Adley puts the rebound in. And he's also got an assist for what would have been an own goal that Evan Nilsson like prods in on the line from an offside position. Looks like it's going in anyway. So on a different day, he easily could have had a couple of assists. And one beauty with him is he'll definitely play this week. Not helped by the fact from Bournemouth's perspective, picked up 3 suspensions here. So Senesi, Lewis Cook, naughty, naughty boy, by the way. He knows what he's doing. And David Brooks also has picked up fifth yellow. So all three of them suspended for midweek. Good news for Everton, I think, going there off the back of their difficult result at the weekend. Milicevic presumably plays with Diakite. If you are on free hitting 14, there will be a handful that will be. I wouldn't go chasing that with Senesi absent. Kluivert probably plays, might mean a wider role for Tavernier, but whatever that is, Semenyo plays. But it's probably a little bit alarming if they've dropped into the bottom half, Suj.
Yeah,
and that's surprising, I think. Like it's almost happened unnoticed.
I'd say that Petrovic is probably one of my biggest regrets of wildcard. Looking at what I've seen now since we wildcarded in, conceding 2 to West Ham, though the conditions were awful that game, and I did hope that he would do better, but still.
Second goal, Traore's goal, a little bit questionable, but okay, you're fine. That wouldn't hold him truly accountable for that at the weekend, but I've said to you before, like I don't think he's great. And yeah, that has a knock-on impact on the rest of the team.
I haven't got anywhere to go though, to be honest, and I don't see myself wanting to use a transfer to fix it. I'll just leave it be. Everton at home, Chelsea at home, Burnley at home as 3 of the next 4. Just leave it.
You should have a keep at Dubravka.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you still play Petrovic this week. You might want to play maybe Dubravka in 16. But that said, United, Bournemouth have won the last 2 seasons at Old Trafford, and it's probably a sort of fixture that suits them a little bit better, actually. Yeah, I wouldn't do anything about it. So there's not enough gain in other goalkeepers. High scoring keeper at the weekend's like 7 points.
Martinez. Yeah.
Verbruggen.
Okay.
Or did Martinez get an 8 in the end, did he?
No, he got 7 as well. Joint 7.
Yeah, but Verbruggen's cheaper, so that's team of the week. I get my little star, don't I? Ooh,
all right, go on, have him.
Like a little sticker. Yeah, I wouldn't do anything about that. So just personally, I'd leave that.
Yeah,
fixture's still decent this week anyway. For Sunderland, you're not chasing assets with Liverpool away, City away across the next 2. They did change to a back 4. A lot of our Sunderland guys on Slack were saying that there was kind of enough hints in Labry's presser suggesting that he'd probably do that. And they have done as well. And Brobby's obviously now, it's a couple of games he's come off the bench and scored. I don't suppose many are on Wilson Isidore, but you might want to take a little bit of note about that. Yeah. I mean, they're going to, the thing is as well, they've got such confidence in the home games, and you can tell the crowd is like right at it as well. So that's a challenging place for any team to go. The next team that goes there is Newcastle in game week 16. And no team's won away there yet.
Well, yeah, that is their rivalry game. 6th in the table still, Sunderland, so doing really well. Talking about Newcastle away from home, quite the turnaround. I didn't expect to see a 4-1 here, James, particularly with the headed goals from corners where you'd think Everton are pretty good, like from that kind of point of view, with Tarkowski and Keane and stuff, dealing with stuff like that. They've done really well here, Newcastle, to get a solid away win.
Yes, lots to talk about them. Good segue from no one winning away to Sunderland. Newcastle might make it 2 in a row. It wasn't a 4-1 game. No doubt Newcastle well deserved to win. David Moyes openly
5 big chances, James, to 1.
Yeah, a lot of it was transition stuff. Actually, Everton had a spell. Obviously, Newcastle scored like straight away. Everton had a spell of 5-10 minutes where they had 80+% of the ball. And this game states, and Newcastle were quite entitled to do that. It were a bit ruthless to them on the counter. I think Everton do have a set play problem, by the way. This isn't the first time a defender has gone to the Hilly Dick and returned with a big, massive hole. Mickey van der Ven, right?
Van der Ven had 2, didn't he?
Yeah. That's not to suggest, guys, that if you've got defenders playing at Everton, you'd always want to play them. But Arsenal were going there in a couple of weeks. You might want to take note of that. Yeah, I think there is a problem on set plays, which you're right with, like O'Brien, Tarkowski, Keane. You think that there wouldn't be. I think Jordan Pickford's part of the problem here.
Okay, not commanding his box.
Well, I don't think it's not. I'm not by any way suggesting he comes out the team or anything like that at all. But he doesn't really. He needs his people in front of him to dominate, right? And the way these corners are coming in now towards the near post, like this on Malick Thiaw, it only needs the touch, and it's in. And I think because of Pickford's stature, he struggles to get through bodies in those moments. We've often had conversations when he's had difficult periods for Everton. He's been amazing for Everton, but he has had the odd spell now and again. We've been like, oh, he's having the odd Rick here. He's never really had it for England. I hope that this trend that we're seeing in the Premier League is not a trend that carries into the World Cup next year. Because set plays, I just think are so much easier to defend at international football than they are at club football. You don't get this aggression in quite the same ways. A lot of teams happy to go short and play, etc. I don't think it's ever really been a problem for him playing for England. At the moment, Everton are getting exposed on this. And I don't quite know how they fix it, because there isn't anything to put in the team that's going to be greater in terms of physicality or height. They've got three big units defensively, but they've conceded this goal a few times now. I felt a little bit sorry for them as well, in a sense. I think David Moyes actually set up structurally in the right way, which is essentially to have two kind of higher eights and a single pivot, James Garner as a six. The problem is Irogbenham as an 8 is not really suitable, but you want to do that against Newcastle because the weakness of Newcastle's between the back four, and they kind of go into a 5 of a block in midfield. But when they did get it into those areas, into Irogbenham particularly, it wasn't great, and Irogbenham didn't cover himself in glory, tracking Elanga on the third goal. Everton were outstanding on Monday. I think they should probably remember that. They were not helped here by losing a goal so early in the game.
Then they had the red card on Monday, James. So this is the irony: is they played better with 10 men. But look at Chelsea yesterday; they almost played better with 10 men.
If you think about United and how slow they were on Monday, and United were still slow with the ball and pedestrian at Selhurst Park yesterday, Newcastle quick and incisive. And what Newcastle had now with Livramento and Hall back is, I've spoken about this, that those two would massively impact Newcastle in a positive way from a creativity perspective. I did a Talking Tactics a couple of weeks ago and said their big problem in away games isn't the press, it's creativity. And Hall and Livramento bring it to them because of their energy and Hall's ability to cross. I mean, the cross on the fourth goal was a worldy cross, which came moments after Voltemade nearly got his second. Boy, am I pleased I already put him in. So he could have had more than what he had. Beautiful finish for the third. I thought he'd cocked it up. I think Gordon will play against Tottenham. Tonali will come back in the team.
He'll come in for Barnes, will Gordon?
Probably. Remember Voltemade had a break at Marseille last week. Yeah. So I think Gordon probably will come in. Jacob Murphy will play on the right. So I think that was probably Elanga's best game for Miley. Probably Elanga's best game for Newcastle. Tonali probably for Miley. But I tell you what about him, they're more creative when he plays. He's got a really good eye for a pass. Now, Gimrez has played almost as the 6 here in this one. I'm sure Tonali will come back in and he'll be allowed to go. I wouldn't be that shocked if it's Miley rather than Joel Linton plays against Tottenham. Miley's worth watching. He's 4.4. And we've spoken a lot about Potts, King. It might just evolve that in moving forward, he becomes the kind of go-to 4.4. He scored, obviously, at the weekend. If something happens to that midfield three, I think, generally speaking, he's probably in line to play more often than, say, Ramsey. It might be different if Joel Linton's the player that he's absent. But he's a really lovely footballer, Lewis Miley. He got thrown into the deep end kind of this time 2 years ago when he was young, and he stood out then because he's got a real kind of physical build about him, despite he looks like a man rather than looking like a boy. He's a good player. I'd keep an eye on that. I'm not saying chase that. And I'd probably be more conscious of blocking yourself off of treble Newcastle at the moment. Because it's worth saying, yes, these two home fixtures are really good, but then the run afterwards that starts in game week 19 when they play Burnley again is very attractive. I've got them top of my ticker to game weeks 19 to 23. So these Newcastle guys that have gone in for me, Voltemade I might even dip off and come back to. Chow I don't want to be pissing about with. And I think he's probably the one. I think what he's done now...
You don't think Lewis Hall?
The problem with Lewis Hall is protection. Protection of him. So Botman's gone for a scan. Unfortunately, he can never get over long-term problems. Fabian Schär can obviously play centre-back as well. Burn could obviously move out to left-back in that sort of circumstance. And that's what they did against Man City, was obviously play Fabian Schär left-sided centre-back. Lewis Hall is not going to play every game for Newcastle in December. Malick Thiaw might. Kieran Trippier's also got a problem, going to keep him out for most of the month, I think. Malick Thiaw has established himself, for me, as Newcastle's best centre-back. Doesn't mean that you can't get rotated for something like Burnley at home, but you're going to be bloody unlucky if he does get rotated for Burnley at home and then comes on as a substitute. You're going to be really unlucky under that sort of circumstance. Because attacking wise, they've got substitutes to now bring into the game, right? We're talking about a scenario here where you might have Visser back soon, Ilanga, Ramsey, Miley, Barnes. That might be Newcastle's subs like on Tuesday night, for example. So yeah, I like Thiaw. I think that's a little bit more secure than Lewis Hall. Love Lewis Hall as a player. Livramento will be good for minutes as well. I think you probably want to look at that. And those who probably want to look at it most are those sitting there with Nick Pope in their team going, what's happened here? So there was a lot of speculation went round Friday night that Pope wasn't going to travel. That was then kind of confirmed by most sources on Saturday morning ahead of deadline. There is no reason, if he's fit, for Aaron Ramsdale to come back out of that team at the moment. The big difference between Ramsdale and Pope is Ramsdale is a little bit more rooted to his line. Pope is a really good sweeper keeper. I realise, like the goal in Marseille they concede, he's not got it right, but he's really good at coming off his line. Ramsdale's a bit more rooted to it, but Ramsdale is much better at kicking a bloody football. It's a footballer. Ramsdale can pass the ball like 30, 40 yards to whoever he wants. So that's a different weapon for Newcastle. So you've got elements being added back into this team. Ramsdale is part of it. It's adding to more creativity for Newcastle. So attacking assets, I think, should do better. My only doubt about buying Gimres, by the way, is does he start on Saturday against Burnley? That's my only little query on it. But I keep looking at it. If they don't play Leverkusen until next Wednesday,
I think he'll play.
It's Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday. Yeah, I think so.
I think he'll play. I
think so as well. His returns in home games, he's really good. And when he's not been returning, he's been hitting the cut of DEFCONs like he did at the weekend. Doesn't tend to hit DEFCONs in home games, but he tends to hit double digits in home games. Yeah, I'm really interested in Bruno Guimaraes, and I think he'll play a more advanced role tomorrow night because I would presume Tonali will come back in the team.
Yeah, I think Voltemade is very much on radar for me, James.
100%.
For João Pedro, I wanted Pedro for the Leeds away game, but I'd rather have Voltemade for the home game, and then he'll be there possibly for quite some time. Though Visser is fit-ish again, but like you said on your deadline stream, I still think it'll be a couple of weeks before he gets a look in. There's no need to rush him back. The team that Newcastle are playing, James, midweek, segue, Tottenham 1, Fulham 2.
Let's give Fulham their flowers. Started the game great. Scored a brilliant goal from their perspective. I mean, it is brilliantly finished by Harry Wilson on the Vicario cock-up. By the way, when you watch it back, look at Kevin Danso. I can't explain it. It's like Kevin Danso looks over his shoulder. He's actually in the line of the shot from where Wilson would... and he thinks Wilson's not going to do that. He thinks he's going to cross it. But I'm sure Danso looks over his shoulder and sees Vicario in goal because it's like he looks almost like, oh yeah, he's there. I'm all right. I can step out now. He's not. He's not even in the box. And Danso literally steps out of the line exactly where Wilson shoots. I realise he's tried to read the cross and probably thinks he needs to go and beat it. But yeah, just absolute calamity.
I don't think that many players would even have had the audacity to try it, though, to be honest. As much as it's a hell of an angle and it's a hell of a finish. I think you think, oh, from distance, he's had a pop at an open goal. But the positioning of where he took that shot from, I just don't think there's a lot of players that had the ability to do it, to be honest.
There isn't. He knows as soon as the ball goes to King, he knows he's going to do it.
Going to shoot, yeah.
If you watch it back, he is screaming at King to give him the ball. He knows what he's going to do. He set his body correctly, etc. And do you know what? King's way to pass It's a short pass, but it has to be the right weight to allow. If it comes too fast, Wilson's got to take a touch, hasn't he? Allows him to do it, and it's brilliantly executed. He's a cute little one to keep an eye on, actually. I think Harry Wilson. Not to invest in now, but they've got a nice kind of trio of fixtures. Burnley, Forest, West Ham are all in that group of the bottom five at the moment. Fulham play all of them between 16 and 18.
No, he's cheap, 5.2.
Is that all he is, Harry Wilson?
5.2 so far this season. 3 goals and 1 assist in 10 starts. So he's kind of averaging a return every other game.
Do you know what? It's not even impossible I buy him on Saturday. I wouldn't start him against Palace under that circumstance, but I'm looking at something. Kind of been looking at Dewsbury Hall to buy at the same point. But yeah, I might even look at that. Chukwueze was really lively on the left, but I think that's in quite a bit of competition with Kevin. Jimenez is worth keeping on radar, I think, for those 3 fixtures as well. There's a definite possible kind of jump off Voltemade to Jimenez and then go back together. I just wonder how much gain there'll be in those 2 transfers over that period of time. Probably not enough. But the beauty with Jimenez, and we discussed this on COTC last week, is because Muniz is out for sort of pretty much all of December. Jimenez is going to be close to 90. And the concern with those 2 boys up front was always just going to nick too many minutes off each other. And Jimenez looked fit to me at the weekend. We know he's been carrying a bit of an issue. Also made the best save in the game as well, really late on when he picked up his yellow card. One thing I did notice about him, though, he's when he's scoring, he's not hitting much in terms of bonus, which is unusual. But yeah, Jimenez, Wilson on radar for me in the next few weeks. Joachim Anderson was outstanding at centre back for those who
was good.
Who own. Yeah, I mean, it's probably man of the match, Joachim Anderson. I don't know who got it officially, but I thought he was brilliant. Him and Bassi defended the penalty area ever so well when they were under periods of like pressure. Fullbacks Tete and Sessegnon both played well. I thought Leno should have saved Kudus' goal. I know Mo hits it really well, but I felt like he should have saved it personally. But they picked a brave lineup. I think we all thought Sasa Lukic would come back into the team, but he stuck with King in the kind of the position that King and Iwobi could push Tottenham back. And I watched the game, Suj, thinking, oh my God, these midfield players that Fulham have got are so much better than mine.
Lukic, I mean, even if Iwobi, I thought he had a good game. Kenny Tete, I think, was... I would have said Kenny Tete is potentially man of the match as well, but all of them, King, Berge, they all played well. I do think the start of the second half, you did come out with intent and you did then go on to dominate without like overly threatening, but you were dominant. And I did think you deserved to get a goal back in that period after half time where you did show much more intent. But then I think when they made their next wave of substitutions with getting Lukic and Smith Rowe on, then
the game
in
alongside Berge. Yeah.
Then the game went back to they were in control again. I think if Marco Silva had made those changes a little bit earlier, maybe you wouldn't have scored your goal because it would have given them a little bit more stability. Because Lukic came on and played really well as well. Bergwijn is a good player. But him alongside Archie Gray, it's just lightweight. And then you got Paulinho running around, but he's just got no footballing abilities. You kind of got, it doesn't feel right. It feels like a jigsaw puzzle where the pieces don't fit together. It wasn't great at all. I didn't think Richarlison, to be honest, Paulinho, I was wondering who are your midfield 3, and I forgot about Paulinho halfway through the game because I didn't really have any influence over Richarlison. I wasn't even sure what position he was playing, to be honest with you, because I thought Kolo Muane was a striker, so Richarlison's out on the left, but he was very central.
Yeah, he essentially give up the left side because there was phases off the ball. Bergwijn would drop into that position, so 4-4-2 without the ball. But essentially on the ball, Bergwijn was allowed to wander. I mean, there's so many things that just make so little sense. So like Udogie and Odobert built this really nice relationship on the left-hand side. So it would have been so natural. Odobert didn't start in Paris. So for Odobert to play that position where he could drift in and then Destiny could go down the left-hand side. Destiny didn't sense the opportunity to move higher up the pitch as quickly as he has done when Odobert plays. I've spoken about the relationship that those two players, I think, have built. He just wasn't there with Bergwijn. And I think he was going in too early and almost going into help into midfield. By the way, I know why he was going into midfield to try and help out so early, because sometimes you say things in the heat of the moment, you settle down, you think that was a bit over the top, James. And I've had sort of 36 hours to think about what I said to the patrons at half time on Saturday, and I still feel the same. That was, in the 35 years I've gone, probably the worst double pivot performance I've seen from two midfielders. Paulinia and
That's
Archie
quite a
Gray.
statement.
I don't want to kill Archie Gray because he's a young boy. I've told you this a lot. I don't think you're going to be good enough. And I would have taken him off after 15 minutes. Passenger. You know what he is? And he was good in Paris last week. And you start wondering, why was he good in Paris? No expectation on the ball. He cannot play in a football match for us where there's any expectation for us to have the ball. I don't mind if he plays at Newcastle tomorrow night because we ain't going to dominate. So if Archie Gray plays at Newcastle tomorrow night, I don't mind. His traits of strength are playing as a wide 8, in my opinion, where he can run the half space and be used as a decoy to make space for others. He is nowhere near good enough. And I don't want to say anything more about him because he's a young boy and he might still develop into a good player. Paulinia, get me that jet and take him back to Germany, mate. I'd spoke about him with Lewis last week on COTC, and we had a conversation after we finished recording. I was like, Lewis, I used to love him for you, man. And we spoke about it, and Lewis reminded me, like, you know, what all the good strengths is. And Lewis made a good point. He said, you bought him a year late because he probably would have been better in Ange's system and the ability to go side to side. I agree,
because you can play as a single pivot. Yeah.
Correct. But if you're a single pivot, you've got to be good on the ball. And he's not.
No.
He's woeful. And also, the thing we loved about him at Fulham was obviously his ability to win the ball. He's still a good tackler. If it comes into his zone, that ability to get around the pitch, they're gone. So now I've got a player who plays in midfield who's not good on the ball. He's an awful presser. Honestly, he's like waiting for a bus, mate. He's so bad at that. And he doesn't get around the pitch anymore either. So the selection to play Paulinia with Gray, mate. But also, I also recognise, by the way, a lot of Tottenham fans saw the team was happy with that. I spoke to my dad in the ground and went, "We're in massive trouble here, mate, because I can't see any football in that team." So, yeah, I don't have a problem that Paulinia played because him or Bentancur, one or the other, fine. Rod's better on the ball. Rod will go and press better, etc. But to play with Gray as well, and then not to play with Odebear. So we played with like no speed, no width, no ball possession. The only player on the pitch, anything in terms of a brain, in terms of distribution, Pedro Porro, he was awful as well. Destiny had a nightmare at left back. Only Tottenham player who could walk out that was any credit was Mickey van der Ven, just on the basis that he saved us from going 3-0 down, basically.
Maybe 4-0 down,
And even more so, again, it's like, so you've got nothing in terms of distribution and dominance in midfield. You've got Romero suspended. Romero's best trait is ability to slow the game down and pass out from centre-back. So, I mean, Danso, profile-wise, is so miles away from Romero. He just made no sense. And on Friday, I spoke a lot about being really pleased with Frank and his setup in Paris and giving him all the credit for it. Yeah, it's got to go the other way, man. This is we are. You want me to say it? Then yeah, this is inevitable, and I don't know where inevitable is. I don't know if it's next week, next month, next year, or in 2 years. Thomas Frank at Tottenham Hotspur. I've told you already, it's not going to work.
Sell all your Tottenham assets. There you go. You heard it there.
Why has anyone got any?
Yeah, I don't know. If you have, then why have you got them? Message James on Twitter at Planet FPL Pod. But if you haven't, just don't buy any, not with the upcoming fixtures anyway.
The booing of Vicario, by the way.
I was going to ask you about that.
It's disgusting.
Help. It did stop in the second half, to be fair.
They did it, yeah.
Once you scored, it did stop. There was a few
people saying it was booing of the team. No, it was
booing of Vicario.
There is only one thing worse than booing one of your own players. It's booing your goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's awful. It felt so uncomfortable.
Yeah. And those people who maybe want to take him out of the team were definitely not with me when I last went to Newcastle and Kinski played in goal. So that's nobody's solution. So booing your goalkeeper is a woeful place to be. It's a horrendous error. I mean, what goes through his mind to not just kick the ball out of play? There's no defence for it. But we got bigger problems than Vicario. I keep telling you. Until this football club buys a proper good number 6, it will continually struggle over and over. And for the manager, he mentioned again at the weekend about, let me remind you, we finished 17th last season. That right, don't walk into my football club and start lowering expectations where like mid-table is okay and acceptable. Also, the points we have on the board is better than where we should be. Tottenham have the 17th expected goal difference in the league. They are lucky, very lucky at the moment that gap from the bottom 5 has opened up, because Tottenham are more likely to go down the table than they are to go up it until something changes.
Well, you are going down the table at the moment, James, because it's been a steady slide since the start of the season.
By the way, we will be better at Newcastle tomorrow night, because I know he's going to put some footballers back in the team.
James,
we still get well beat. I'm not saying differently, but I'm saying I bet you look at tomorrow night and go, that's better. And he has the ability, Frank, to set up well in some of the tougher games. You've seen a really good example against PSG. You've seen a really bad example of that against Arsenal. I don't know which one I get tomorrow night. But his ability to set a team up in a game to dominate, he can't do it. He's not the guy.
Right. Well, let's talk about Crystal Palace and Manchester United and get through some of these Sunday games, James, because another manager that was struggling historically was Amorim, but they have been getting better and slowly working their way up the table, up to 7th now. This was one of the games that I feared on free hit, in the sense that there was this game and the Arsenal-Chelsea game where the ownership of players, particularly Palace, defensively and Mateta, could have hurt. And I also moved away from Bumo on free hit. The others, obviously, the Arsenal-Chelsea game. It ended up playing out pretty much as good as I could have hoped for, because the only thing that hurt from this game was the Mateta penalty, and that was only a 4-point goal. Like, he didn't end up picking up any BPS or anything off it as well. So worked out quite well. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes, but I told him on Wildcard a couple of weeks ago, so it was all right. I think fairly even game from the statistics and from what I can see.
You know why Mateta didn't get any bonus, didn't you?
Because he missed the penalty.
He's missing too many chances, mate.
Yeah.
A little concern for Palace now that they've got one of their real established players injured. And I think it didn't help them in the game that Sarr picked up that injury really early. I don't want to say he was passenger. He wasn't passenger. But he had a sprint around about the 20th minute. And I thought, he's not putting his weight properly. You can see it. It's not right. So I wasn't surprised when he went off. And Ketcher is one greedy guy, man. Seriously. He's like the opposite of Sarr. Sarr's really direct in what he does, but he's not greedy. And Ketcher, as soon as he sees the post, he wants to shoot. He's a 9, isn't he? He's not like a 10.
He's a striker. And obviously, when you're not in the team, any opportunity you get to try and stake a claim, maybe he wants to overly prove himself, potentially.
I understand that. Don't do that. You service Mateta, and on that side, if you're going to play in that area, service Daniel Munoz as well. He'll play quite a bit. And there are worse players you could invest in than him, because he'll be a cheap. I don't even know what price he is. So was that 5-4 or something? Eddie Nketiah.
I will check for you.
He probably is going to get some decent minutes. There is
but he's a forward, James. If he was a midfielder, it'd be different.
Yeah, no, he's a forward. He ain't going to be a midfielder.
You're not going to use but you're not going to use one of your 3 forward slots on Eddie Nketiah at 5.4, surely 5.4.
5.4. No, I mean, I wouldn't, Suj. No, but there might be some people sitting there with something they don't like at roundabouts that value and thinking, Zian Fleming. Oh, okay, maybe Nketiah for a little bit. He will get some decent minutes. You've got to be aware of certain changes like this. It was a positive consequence to Mateta. Mateta's minutes now look much better in forthcoming weeks. However, his prospects don't, because he's going to be missing his mate Ismaila Sarr. Sarr's direct running and pace, his ability both on and off the ball, is very good for Mateta. So, what do you like? Do you like the fact that his minutes have improved, or do you like the fact he's going to be missing his mate? It's a real negative for Palace. They will not have the ability to transition with pace in the same way without Ismaila Sarr. I don't think it's great for Munoz either, because them on that tandem on that right hand side, it's brilliant.
Yep.
Munoz arrives later to the scene. Okay, now we're relying on potentially on that zone and Ketcher finding him. It's not the same. It's definitely not to put anybody off Daniel Munoz, by the way, although he is a walking magnet to a suspension. He's on 4 yellows.
Yeah, I was going to say there's only one away now, isn't he?
Most of the game yesterday he was on a tightrope in terms of whether he was going to get it or not. I hope he's suspended for game week 18, personally. There's nothing personal in that hope. Yeah, he's going to pick up the suspension at any point. I kind of hope in a weird way that it's not game week 16. Because I think if he lands with the suspension in game week 16, and people got 5 free transfers, they'll sell him. Don't do that. If you're on Daniel Munoz, whenever this suspension comes up, I would probably suck it up and carry on. So despite concerns, I don't want to be moving him on at the moment. The positive about him getting suspended in 16 is that would be the best game for him to miss in terms of the good fixtures before and afterwards. And Palace do still have some good fixtures. Burnley, Fulham, Leeds are their next 3 away games. Fulham, they beat comfortably at Craven Cottage twice last season. Burnley and Leeds away are fine as well. I would not be at all surprised if they beat Manchester City in game week 16 because City is seen again at the weekend. Too many vulnerabilities. But yeah, Sar's going to be a miss. Really like Lacroix if people want to go there and get there. I think Lacroix versus Gay for me is Lacroix all day long, personally. It's not to say Gay owners should move to Lacroix. I'm just saying that's comfortably where I'd go and invest if I was getting any of them. Actually, my wildcard choice, final one for defenders, was Lacroix versus Chow. Suj?
Yeah.
I'm not disappointed with the choice that I made. They looked, unfortunately, very fatigued on Sunday. They did even when they were winning in the first half. It might have been part consequence of the Sarr injury. I actually think they got stitched up a little bit yesterday in terms of the scheduling. Because if you think about the day before, Tottenham Fulham 8 o'clock kickoff, because Tottenham played in Paris on Wednesday night. This is fairly clear now, isn't it? It's like, all right, if a team's on the telly and they played away in Europe on a Wednesday night, it ain't going to play 12:30 on the Saturday. We've accepted and known that now, right? So why did Palace play in Europe on the Thursday in Strasbourg and then have 12 o'clock on the Sunday?
Not fair.
Now, I think I know why it's happening. It's because Manchester United have had so many evening games recently in terms of Monday night selections they've got coming up and stuff like that. Got Newcastle on Boxing Day on a Friday night. To have given United 7 o'clock on the Sunday, how they're getting home, like I get it. It's rough. Although quite how they were getting there for 12 o'clock kickoff, I'm probably not sure either. Unless
they would have gone the night before, surely. I mean, the fans.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Or someone's going, but they only live around the corner.
They're all in Surrey, mate.
that's also possibly true for a few of them as well. So I think, it was. I think Palace got stitched up with that scheduling. So I factor that in. It also would have been better for them over this period. Would have got a lot of games and just kept running to like an evening schedule. Imagine the changing of your clock, right? So you're playing Thursday evening, Sunday morning, basically, then Wednesday night away again. It'd have been better off having an evening kickoff. And United didn't read the room at all in the first half in terms of Palace's vulnerability. It did in the second half. And
Bruno Fernandes has overtaken Boomer now as their top scoring midfielder.
Yeah, that'll change back, won't it? To be honest, Bruno's worth more, so he needs to be, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think I'm glad to have avoided Bumo's 1-pointer, but to get 2 1-pointers in a row, there are people that will be looking at that frustrated. Look, just stick with it because you got West Ham at home, then Wolves away, and then you can possibly think about moving him on because of AFCON and everything to do with that. So it's annoying that he's not returned if you are an owner, but suck it up, really, isn't it?
If people wanted to buy Bumo this week, I would not put them off.
Yeah.
What will benefit is if Cunha's back available. Now, I don't know when Ruben Amorim's press conference is going to be, but if it's on Wednesday, remember the game's not till Thursday, you ain't going to get no info on that prior to deadline. Unlikely anyway, unless it's been set back. But the expectation is that Cunha will return. That will be much better for United. I know that Mount and Xerxes have scored, but Cunha being back in there will have a real positive impact, I think, on Boomer. Because there isn't enough legs at that top end. And they kind of need to play Diallo at wing back, because when they end up with Dallo and Dorgu or Matswari or any combination of that, aesthetically, it's just not as clean. So they need Diallo approaching it from a deeper position will help. But then as a consequence, Bumo's up there with no other legs around him. They both take the goals. I mean, Xerxes' goal was brilliant, brilliant goal, by the way. But it's his first goal in the league for like a year, near enough. Mount obviously is good presser off the ball, but doesn't really have the pace to go in behind either. So if Cunha's back, that'll be a positive. Whatever they do should have too much for West Ham on Thursday night. But also, if West Ham defend like Everton did last week, you can't be that shocked if they get something out of the game. I'd avoid United defensively. There were too many individual sloppy moments. Euros kind of stumble into Mateta for the penalty. Could have easily been Delit into Mateta like 10 minutes before that as well. I don't fancy them much for clean sheets. I'm not convinced on the goalkeeper at all. He's way better than Anana and Biendo, no question about that, but I'm not convinced about him in goal. So it's Fernandes, Bumo. You can't buy Cunha at the moment. I think with Diallo, the problem is what I said. Really, for United to function well, he's got to play wing back. But you also think about it in your mind, you go, well, Bumo's going to disappear soon. So could he fill the position that Bumo's been playing in and be quite a nice player to own over Christmas? He might be. He might be. But I think you'll probably get a look at that around about 17 and 18. And they play Villa Newcastle then. So I think it's a come back and have a look for the period of 19 to 21, maybe for Amad Diallo as a short-term one. Wouldn't run to that. If people want Fernandes or Bumo, it's fine. Fernandes returns are going to be...
consistent.
Well, I was going to say consistent. I was actually going to say all over the place, Suj, in terms of random. So what was his last goal in the Premier League?
Would have been one of the penalties, surely.
I think his last goal in the Premier League was against Chelsea.
Correct.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. That's over 2 months ago.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assists since then.
Yeah.
And quite a few DEFCONs as well.
Yeah. I mean, with DEFCONs as well. I think he's 11 again yesterday. The amount of times he's been on 10 or 11 DEFCONs and been so close to it.
Yeah, you could say he hasn't scored since Chelsea. He's also blanked. All right, you've got the Brentford game where that was a missed penalty, wasn't it? Where he got a -1.
Yeah.
And then he's only blanked against Sunderland and Everton. He's returned in every other game.
But there you go. Sunderland and Everton at home. The games where you're most likely to think like you're going to get the hauls from him. Yesterday, ultimately, 2 assists. One's a free kick. It's all Xerxes' work. Even Fernandes, I saw an interview with Fernandes afterwards. He said, I didn't know he could do that. So he wasn't expecting him to score. And obviously the free kick from Mount, he's a little touch and Palace's wall disintegrates into something I would only expect from Tottenham, to be blunt about it. So that's not to deny him the 2 assists. I'm just saying I think the returns will come at unexpected point. I wouldn't be surprised if he hauled at Aston Villa in game week 17, for example. If you want to buy Fernandes, it's fine. You want to buy Bumo, it's fine. Personally, I took the view to go Bumo for the short term and was never expecting anything yesterday. I'll do in these next 2.
Right, let's talk about Aston Villa 1, Wolves 0. I mean, no surprise whatsoever really in the result, because we did expect Aston Villa to win. I mean, they didn't win any of their first 5 games, was it? And now they've won 7 out of 8 or something like that, Aston Villa. Worked their way back into the Champions League spots, 4th in the table. They're doing really well, yet... who to own from a fantasy point of view? Wolves are a write-off, mate. But who to own from Aston Villa? Like, there's no one there that stands out that makes me think, yeah, I definitely want to own. It'd be Rodgers, maybe picking up one of the defensive, but we've said they don't get DEFCONs, which they haven't again. Good team, no good for fantasy. Is that what we're thinking at the moment? Or is there any
Pretty
assets
much
there that you like?
Pretty much. I think those who went like treble on free hit this week, good luck to you. That was the right decision considering the fixture. To invest in them new now because they've shut up the table. No, thank you. Brighton and Arsenal in the next couple don't scream. West Ham 16 is fine. Then after that, it's United, it's Chelsea, then Arsenal again. It's not great. I will repeat what I said to you a couple of weeks ago, Suj, about Tottenham. Remember what I said to you about Tottenham a couple of weeks ago? In fact, it was probably more like 2 months ago, actually. If the performances do not improve, the results are inevitable.
Well, yeah, you always kind of say that the results you were having were against the run of the statistics
Yes.
slash performance as well. Yeah, it's the opposite
Aston
for
Villa's
Villa.
statistics are not good, Suj.
Oh, really?
What do you think Aston Villa are for XG this season? XG, just
Now,
expected goals.
you did talk to Lee about this on COTC last week. Were they 16th or 17th?
Well, it's 19th now.
Oh, okay.
Got worse XG than Wolves and
Yeah,
Tottenham.
yeah.
Expected goal difference, including expected goals conceded, FB would have them ranked at 15th at the moment.
They're
Right.
fourth, James.
Well, the thing is, they keep scoring from long range goals. Another one yesterday.
Yeah, good one as well.
It's a great goal from Kamara, and they've scored many great goals in loads of games this season. With Rodgers last week at Leeds, the Rodgers and Buendia goals at Tottenham. Like, there's been loads. You think of Villa's games this season, you go, yeah, long range, long range, long range. Now, part of that is Watkins. He's just not at it at the moment in terms of doing the business. I mean, he's one attacking return all season. It's mental. If they don't improve and start creating chances properly is the bigger one at the top end rather than the defensive stuff. Inevitable what comes around the corner. You won't beat variance. You either improve or variance will get you. And I think Villa will get got over this month, personally. I'm nothing against them. Might do well. I think the fixtures are rough. But if they don't improve, I expect them to have a very bad month. There is no Villa player that I would consider other than Morgan Rogers. And when I say consider, I mean Cape. I've got. It's do I hold him for things like West Ham in 16? I can play him this week. And as said earlier, the beauty with him is, right, okay, I know he's going to play all or pretty much all the minutes. They're in a good position in Europa League. That's really helpful as well. I get good minutes out of him. He's kind of an ideal asset for this period of time. But as we'd mentioned going into this game against Wolves, his data is not good either. It's not great. Offensively, they're not opening teams up at all. Now, the recovery they've done in terms of results from the way they started, absolutely brilliant. I'm going to take anything away from them. They've got a very good manager. They've got some very good footballers. But they need to improve. And I would not be at all surprised if they get... I watched Brighton yesterday. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they get beat at Brighton on Wednesday night.
Well, that's a nice segue, James, to talk about Brighton 2, Forest 0, because Brighton are literally only one spot in the league below Aston Villa, and they've been creeping along nicely as well this season. I wouldn't go so far as to say we don't have any assets from Brighton particularly to look at, but the ones that are popular, clearly you've got Minte. You own him, don't you?
And I'll be starting him this week.
Yeah, and Welbeck has been popular as well from Brighton, but I wouldn't go so far as to say there's like loads. I think from an ownership point of view, Welbeck's at 10%, Minte at 8%, and then obviously for Bruggen, because he's 4.5 or 4.4 now, is at 4.2, but then that's it. Everything else is like 1s and 2s. There isn't a lot of ownership in them, but they've been moving along nicely. And a 5th in the table now.
Yeah, very quietly doing okay, Brighton. I want to say they've only lost twice. I think that's right. Three times, sorry.
3 defeats this season.
And you know what it is with them is sloppy defeats as well. Like they've beat some of the best teams in this league this season.
Yeah, Man United, Bournemouth, and Everton are the 3 defeats.
He's on 4 yellows, but you'll do worse as an enabler than Matt's FIFA. You know. He's played right back. He got into very advanced positions yesterday. Look at his DEFCON number yesterday, Suj. Jesus, man. He hits DEFCON so much, FIFA.
Let's have a look here. Where is he?
And that what they did yesterday, and we thought this might happen, was they took Baleba out of the team. And they played a Yari as more like a single pivot. Now, what that enabled them to do better was kind of drop Diego Gomez into like a left 8 position, but within possession, he just disappeared into left 10. Rutter played as right 10, and it meant that De Kuyper, who played ahead of Kadioglu, who's normally is a fullback, he could stay high and wide. And Minter, frankly, Suj, he's playing positionally at the moment so similar to Salah. They leave him up top. Basically, it's not that he doesn't work back or anything, but it is strategically, it's quite similar. He's the out. You almost want Welbeck dropping towards it if you need to link. If you're going to go over the top, they'll go over the top to Minter, and he's a speedster. His decision making is infuriating at times, Minter. But within that, if he unlocks that, you've got one hell of a player there. Because when he's running at you, he's tough to stop. Nico Williams is a really decent 1v1 defender. Williams had real trouble with him in that first half, particularly yesterday. So setup was quite brave. They had 7 efforts in the opening 12 minutes or so, Suj. Admittedly, none of them on target. But in the opening kind of 15 minutes or so, the game was just like a matter of time until Brighton went in front. They were really good. Then Forest, in terms of transition, began to sort it out a little bit. It sat in a bit deeper, didn't press in the same way, but it made Brighton a little bit more difficult to find the right avenues of path. And then Forest on transition started creating better chances. But Brighton still deserved the lead when they got it through De Kuyper. There is a big weakness I did notice in Brighton during the second half yesterday, though. They've got a real problem for anyone when they go into low block and start defending the penalty area. They've got a real big weakness for anyone that runs inside the fullback and the centre back. So the underlapping run in the half space. The amount of times that Forest found a player running in that zone in behind, so we're going into the penalty area here, was a little bit too frightening for my liking. And Brighton got away with it a lot because the final pass from Forest wasn't right, or in the one circumstance they got in down the right-hand side, Verbruggen actually made a really good save from Igor Jesus. So that's an area of weakness that I think a few teams might try to capitalise on. And I thought about this more about Rodgers for Wednesday night. You think, oh, that goal against Leeds, he did break into the box, but it's not quite the usual thing for him. I don't know if Villa have got the players that will run into that space that will hurt that in quite the same way. Now, the best way around it for them to do that, by the way, would probably be play Watkins and Marlon and get them to do it. And then you've got Rodgers supporting in the more essential zone. Whether they do, I don't know. So plenty of pluses from Brighton, but weakness spotted. On Forest, I give you a name to watch out for over forthcoming weeks, because actually they've got some really decent fixtures coming up and they do go to Wolves next. And Murray Hutchinson, on what I saw in the second half yesterday, really should come into the team. So they've been playing recently. They've had a few injury issues and they've been playing predominantly with like Dominguez off the left and Ndoye on the right. Amari Hutchinson came on yesterday and he was so direct. It possibly helped that Hudson-Odoi had come on to play on the left as well. Morgan Gibbs-White kind of limped off. Don't know if he'll be available, which unfortunately for Forest fans means you might not see the inevitable cupping of ears in front of Wolves fans, because he does love a goal against them. But yeah, Hutchinson, what price is he, Suj?
Amari Hutchinson, cheap. Let's have a look here.
That would be a real rogue one to consider. He should go in that team now.
5.4.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go there myself personally, but I tell you what as well, for the small crowd that's on free hit this week, if you're trying to force in Haaland, Salah, Fernandes, Boomer, all that kind of gig, he should play. I'd be surprised if he doesn't, actually. And we know Sean Dyche doesn't like to change a team that's doing well. Brighton were deserving winners yesterday. Morato, I mean, that didn't help Forest either. Murillo obviously not being available. Morato is no Murillo. What does he do on that second goal? He gets caught out by Shimas letting him in behind and then tries to stand on the ball. And Sells is like, what are you doing? You've literally left it in between of us. Sells has a moment where I think he thinks about kicking Morato. He wants to give him a kick up the arse. Yeah. Decent from Brighton. I think quietly doing quite well. Think about them as well. If they can add something back into that left-hand side like Mitoma, that would help Minter as well. But it doesn't sound like he's going to be ready anytime soon. Doing all right, Brighton?
Yeah, they are. They are indeed. Good. Let's talk about West Ham 0, Liverpool 2. They managed to get themselves over the line in the end, did Liverpool. Couple of kind of big stories from the game. Mo Salah doesn't start. They did say on comms that it was at West Ham under Klopp was the last time he didn't start a league game or something for Liverpool when he was available.
I think that's right, yeah. He had that strop, didn't he? He didn't come on. And
long time ago.
If I speak, there'll be fire. And what?
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't a great game, to be honest with you. I think a team with a little bit more intensity and intent, not West Ham basically, could have beat Liverpool yesterday. I still that they're not right, James. There's still periods of the game where I'm like, this is not like watching Liverpool. You know what it felt like with Isak and Gakpo and Wirtz and stuff. Younger listeners won't know, but you remember Space Jam, the movie with Michael Jordan, and
I'm
the aliens.
to say no, so I feel younger.
The aliens, they come and they take the power away from the basketball players, and then they go and try and play basketball, but they just don't have the ability to play because it's been taken away. They just look like footballers that have lost the ability to do basics. The amount of times they misplaced passes and lost the ball, I'm like, this is not Liverpool. This is not the quality of players that they've got. Something isn't quite clicking with them. West Ham had periods where we kind of kept the ball for decent bits. Like the start of the first half was all right, but then Liverpool did grow into the game and were better. Also, after they scored, like the last 15, 20 minutes of the game, they weren't able to control it. Like we had all of the possession. The irony is that when we had the ball, that's when they scored. Like we started the second half quite well and kept the ball and pinned them in on the counter attack up the other end, and Isak scores a goal. They're 1-0 up. We're dominating the ball towards the end of the second half, trying to chase it. They go and score again. Nothing there made me want to go and chase any Liverpool assets. Really, I don't know if there's anything to take away from that.
So basically, the solution all along was take Salah out of the team, right?
I don't think so.
No, the solution all along was, when do we play West Ham?
Well, yeah, it was a very nice, convenient game for Liverpool because we made it quite easy. We weren't awful, but we made it pretty
There's only one better
easy.
fixture that Liverpool could have had at the weekend.
Wolves, probably.
No, Tottenham.
Yeah, true. If you want to be away from home.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Van Dijk owner. I have no intention of moving him on. I'm a Gakpo owner. I have no intention of moving that on. I don't feel like you can take him out of the team after he just picked up a goal and an assist. You want to keep that momentum. Like Salah comes back in, it's Wirtz that will drop out. It's not going to be, if anything, it's going to be Wirtz that's going to drop out. It's not going to be Gakpo, in my opinion, for them.
Not sure about that. Look, Gakpo will play the majority of the games because Slot likes him. He's the most natural to play on that left-hand side, right? I think he's not going to play all the games. You've got to remember with Liverpool this week, we spoke about it a lot. Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday. Them and Chelsea both got that. So rotation, big headache with those two specifically. With Gakpo, if you're on, you just take this for what it is, I think, and carry on because the fixtures are really good, even through the period that Mo's away and stuff like that. Up to game at 21 at least. You keep that. I don't know if you go and buy that at this point. Be buying a player who might not play this week. Be more interested.
I wouldn't be buying.
More interested in buying Gakpo in 15 if he doesn't play in 14. That would be my view. And I don't really have any interest in buying any other Liverpool player because my best guess would be that tomorrow night or Wednesday night, Ekitike will play instead of Isak. Isak's finally scored. No, I would imagine Ekitike plays against Sunderland and Isak plays at Leeds.
Salah comes back into the team.
Even worked out that Ekitike might even play in a wide role at Leeds, and there's the break for Gakpo. Slot's going to be trying what he hasn't got. He's not like Arsenal, where you say, right, well, okay, we're changing 5-6 players, and the team is weaker, but not infinitely weaker. Slot right now probably feels like he's only got about like 14 or 15 players that he really trusts. So he's just going to keep dipping in and about. So I think little bit out, okay, your turn for a break. Little bit out, your turn for a break. There'll be stuff like that, and that's all I think this was with Mo. Mo now will I'm pretty sure he'll start Sunderland, he'll start Leeds, he'll start against Inter, and then they can breathe again from a fixture perspective. But somewhere across that, Gakpo is going to have a break. Somewhere across that, Wirtz is going to have a break, etc., etc. I don't think you want to take Szoboszlai out the team, though, and Gravenberch also. They might play a lot. Szoboszlai has probably been, pound for pound, I would guess, Liverpool's best player of the season. And Gravenberch, I think, is the only one he trusts to play as a 6 at this moment.
Szoboszlai, I could see dropping back into right back if they're trying to fit Salah back in and Gomez drops out.
Gomez ain't going to play 4 games, is he?
No,
that's
no.
clear.
So, yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't know who has any West Ham assets, James. If you do, maybe people still loitering with Lucas Paqueta. I said it on a Tottenham show that we do for patrons probably 2 or 3 weeks ago that I'm happy for him to go in January because he goes into business for himself sometimes. This is a classic example of it. Like, I don't know, when you were younger, did you have a mate that if you were going out drinking on a weekend or whatever, going down the pub, there's one mate who's the most likely to get you in a fight because he won't shut up and he's the one that gives it lip all the time.
Yeah, his name's
and you're
Clayton.
like, you're the liability. Like, as much as I enjoy spending time with you, once you've had a couple of drinks, all you are is a liability. This is Lucas Paqueta. Like, he just doesn't have the ability to shut up all the time. All the time.
He needs help, mate. And you can see that from his statement last night.
I haven't seen his statement, to be honest with you.
He's put a statement out. Go and look for it. He's put a statement out, essentially kind of condemning the lack of support he's had. Doesn't reference West Ham in there, but we don't know what the support has been like from West Ham. We certainly know that individuals have, like David Moyes went and represented him and stuff like that. I think that's right, isn't it? So there's definitely been individuals that have tried to help. But when you look at that,
stuck with him throughout. I think the club.
No, I hear you.
I believe the club did try and help. I don't know.
I hear you that the club stuck with him. What we don't know is how much they've truly offered him in terms of help. That man needs to sit down and talk about whatever problems he's got. I mean that, because when you see that yesterday, you can look at it and go, dickhead, and ultimately that's what it is. When it got to the stage where Alisson's had to come up and like put his arm around him, and mate, and Alisson will obviously know him from Brazil and stuff like that, you're thinking he's going to keep going. And I felt sorry for the referee, because the referee don't want to send him off. It's clear. Clear the referee didn't want to send him off. So how many times are you going to push and not push as in physically, but like push the envelope in terms of, you're going to go here, mate. And if it wasn't Paquetá, you'd be going, he deserved it. And I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve it.
He does deserve it.
But
what he did.
Also, clearly, he needs some help. I mean that. Someone needs to sit in there and proper talk to him. And yes, West Ham might be better off without him.
I will have a look at his statement. So, yeah, I don't want to condemn anybody if he's struggling mentally and whatever there is. But this is not the first time we've seen it. There was, even in the Bournemouth game, like, he got a throw in that went against him in like the first 5 minutes I talked about. And it was like as if someone had, I don't know, offended him in the worst possible way, his reaction. It's been like this for a lot of games where he goes nuclear very quickly.
I was at the game at your place in May, which neither side particularly gave a shit about. It was like, which one of us can be worse than the other? And he very similar. He got booked in that game and he was crying, wasn't he? And it was like, same thing. You're going to get sent off here. So this has been like brewing for a long time. And you know what? In a roundabout, it might be better for him that this has happened. Right, it's off my case now. He's let down his teammates, of course. And I don't think his statement particularly comes off that well last night, but he's definitely someone screaming for help.
Yeah, I'll have a look at that. Don't be buying any West Ham players at the moment, though. I don't think it's definitely improving under Nuno. Having no Kilman is an improvement. Like, Potts is still great at 4.4. He's still taking set pieces and stuff. He'll still be in and around it. Nice to see Magassa get some minutes. I'm not overly concerned about relegation because I think there'll be enough games where we'll be able to pick up points, but it's going to be a long slog. I said it on Ham and Arse with Clayton last week. It's not going to be fun for the rest of the season. It's going to be a difficult watch most games. Just got to suck it up. As long as we're picking up points. We didn't this time round. I could see us getting a draw at Manchester United, maybe, but it's fine. This is the season that we're.
Where did Fernandes play yesterday?
Well, I was hoping that he would end up playing. We would play a midfield 3, and then he would be the one that was given license to break forward a lot more, but he was more advanced and on the right of a midfield three, but he was more advanced, almost in Jared Bowen on a lot of occasion, because Bowen was then tracking back to help Wan-Bissaka defensively, but he was right-sided 8 is the best way to describe him.
The heat maps look like they've got a lot of imbalance towards your right-hand side and Liverpool's left-hand side. I'm sure Liverpool, I've seen some instances with Gomez getting quite high, but I'm sure Gomez playing right back probably did free up Kirkes quite a bit, the left-hand side. And West Ham probably viewed it as a position of vulnerability against Liverpool at the same time as well. So, yeah, it looked like there weren't a lot going up down your left-hand side.
No Somerville, no party for West Ham. So let's hope that he is fit on Thursday.
I know, obviously, that Paquetá will be suspended. If Somerville's not back, it's pretty grim for Thursday night.
Agreed.
Every chance Wilson would be rotated. I don't think you're probably not expecting Wilson to play Thursday and Sunday, are you?
I don't know, I give him credit because he was isolated a lot, but he put a shift in. He's been all right last few weeks in terms of his work rate and has looked fit and stuff. I don't know. Fulkrug did come on. He had one headed chance. Could do better. I think, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I think he has been doing better. Maybe giving them consistency of minutes is better. But if he does play Thursday, then I would say he's not going to play at the weekend.
Yeah, agree with that.
So, good. Let's wrap up, James. We're talking about Chelsea 1, Arsenal 1. Probably a fair result, though. Chelsea being down to 10 men.
Arsenal didn't do enough to win the game.
No, but Chelsea also, the fact that they went down to 10 men, they offered more than I thought they would. Like, there's an argument to say second best team in the league, probably ahead of City at the moment. City still have vulnerabilities, don't they?
But City have more firepower than Chelsea with the bloke up front, so it depends how you view it.
That's really it. But they do spread it around to Chelsea with even Esteval now as a young kid, and Neto chips in with goals. Enzo Fernandez playing a number 10 is decent.
I thought he was really good, Pedro Neto. He actually does a really good underrated job for the team. No better example of that than the Club World Cup final against Paris Saint-Germain. He really puts the work in, and what a carrier. Like, if you give it to him on the counter, he'll just carry you 50 yards. End product still needs some work, but I think that's, rather say end product is more just the output of turning it into regular goals and assists for him. Yeah, really good player. I mean, the outstanding player on the pitch by miles yesterday was Reece James. What a performance that was under the circumstance of Casado's red card.
Yeah, he's a beast, man. He's really good. He's got to be a shoo-in right back for England at the World Cup. I did think before the game,
midfield, if he plays like that, mate, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I was thinking the best result for me from a fantasy point of view in this game was a 1-1 draw with a Trevor Chalobah and Zubimendi goal, because they probably have the lowest ownership out of everybody. I don't think Marino's too far behind. So from a fantasy point of view, for those on free hit to swerve this game couldn't have gone much better, could it?
And I think largely swerving Palace and United players. Sandy Fernandez from United and Mateta's 6-pointer from Palace. So if you swerve that, I think you're pretty happy with that as well.
Yep. But both teams, I think, also will take a draw happily and move on as well, right?
Yeah, under the circumstance, it's probably a little bit disappointing for Arsenal. Because at half time, I think you're thinking they should win it now. And I was probably more disappointed in them than I was. And there was a lot of criticism of the way they played at Liverpool in game week 3. I didn't feel that then. Yesterday, a little bit more actually, because the difficulty now in the league is almost playing out from the back, because everybody's so aggressive in terms of man-to-man. So that element for Arsenal is obviously much easier because you're playing against a man less. So Chelsea can't go and press you high. And you're playing against a low block that shouldn't really be used to it. And I don't think Arsenal created enough. And when they did create a really big moment towards the end, Timber kind of took it off Gyökeres's head, didn't they? And maybe if they scored, we don't say anything at that point. I just felt Arsenal could have done more, but I also get it was more like a don't lose game for Arsenal. Like, don't give Chelsea the opportunity to feel like they're in the race here. So, and that was only really going to happen if Chelsea won. And yet at the same time, it was a decent result for for Chelsea, very much so under the circumstances. There were a few kind of heroic displays out there. Yeah, and probably everybody's kind of quite content with that, I suppose. Maresca said after the game, he said Reece James won't play on Wednesday, without actually saying that Reece James won't play on Wednesday. It's like, yeah, you got asked the question. He was like, would he play in the week? And he was like, no, we've got to protect him. But I didn't take it as like a literal. But the fact that they're playing Bournemouth next Saturday, and Casado's obviously suspended. Yeah, Reece James is not playing at Leeds on Wednesday. If he is, it's as a substitute, or he's getting hooked early.
Pre-planned substitution,
like
45 minutes and stuff.
Like he was at Burnley. There is a consequence, though, I think, for Enzo Fernandez owners, which is both positive and negative. I think he'll start at Leeds now this midweek. The negative is I think it'll probably be an essential midfield role. It'll probably be deeper alongside Andre Santos, I think. So you've got James to come out the team as well. Is Gusto going to play all 3 games? Fofana won't play. They'll play either a champion or Badiashile at centre-back. I wouldn't be surprised if it's both. Cucurella probably plays, but it could easily be that they go, right, we'll take a chance here. We'll give Hato a start. Palmer will start probably.
Yeah, I was going to say Cole Palmer's the one that's really interesting now.
Yeah. Which means it's probably one of the Lap or Gu up front. I think, again, João Pedro will probably be protected, I think, for Bournemouth. So for you, Suj, yeah, I think you look beyond it and probably go, yeah, okay, I'll leave that be. Neto's put some real work in this week. Wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't start. I've said this for weeks that I think the Chelsea team at Leeds would be possibly quite a bit of a mess. And then playing a lot of that game with 10 men doesn't help. He's a red card, by the way, though. Without even Maresca said after games, it's a red card. Yeah. He's proper naughty, Casado, in the roll around stuff afterwards. Like, he tries to get up and he's like, I know I've done him bad here.
Maybe let me pretend.
The shock on his face. I don't know if that was the shock that he'd only got the yellow in the first place. I totally get, by the way, it's a difficult one for Anthony Taylor to give us a red card immediately. Yeah. As soon as you see it back, he pretty much jumps into it. Kind of loses his balance, just about manages to stay on his feet afterwards. He's in no control of what he's doing. He's completely endangering the opponent. Clear red card. For Arsenal, rotation for this week will probably also occur. As I said, I think Saliba has a little bit of an impact here, and we don't know if he's going to be available or not. But I think having missed Chelsea, you're probably assuming he's probably out of this one as well. They'll want him back for Villa, I imagine, at the weekend. So I think it's more likely that Timber and Calafiori play just because of the 2 centre-backs inside of them. And remember, Brentford can potentially hurt you in different ways, right? You know, do with these long throws and shit like this. It's another reason to think that they might play, right? Imagine Arsenal go Ben White and Lewis Skelly rather than Calafiori and Timber, and Brentford are launching long throws in and stuff like that. It might have some joy. So I think they probably play, would be my take. I think because of that as well, I think Declan Rice will probably play. But I think there's a few others that could possibly expect some rotation. It would feel like a good opportunity to give Gyökeres some minutes, I would think. But I wouldn't be surprised if Marino started again at Villa. I would not be at all surprised if Eze didn't start particularly. Saka probably will start, but I don't think it should come as a huge shock if he doesn't. And you probably want to look at them for captaincy this way. It's like, nah, that's too messy, man.
Cool. Right, James, let's wrap on the games there. I've just been looking on X at any of the questions that we've had in, and truth be told, we've covered all of them in terms of potential replacements for the likes of Senesi and so on. So I'm going to ask you just one question before we wrap this episode. It is a tight turnaround, like we've said, till tomorrow's deadline, James. Okay. You've mentioned that you're captaining the robot. I am captaining the robot. I feel like there's a lot of people who have mentioned not captaining the robot. I've got a few questions around Arsenal players or Bruno Fernandes with the West Ham game on Thursday. A little bit more of a turnaround for Manchester United. What are your thoughts on captaincy for this week? Arsenal at home to Brentford, United at home to West Ham, Liverpool at home to Sunderland, maybe a Liverpool player.
Well, your next best captaincy for me after Haaland now is Salah. Just add the rest. Honestly,
Yeah,
I'd be
I
astonished
don't
if we didn't
think there's
start.
many people that own both, though, is there?
There will be some that have definitely got this far again. Okay, I'll sell him when he goes to AFCON. But truthfully, I would still captain Haaland. We're looking at Sunderland as like this giant green fixture. Well, they've been very good, haven't they? So they might go back to a back five again. That could make space quite difficult. Wouldn't be too surprised if they did that. So do I look at this week and think, Salah is better than Haaland? No. At the moment, a little bit like it was with Mo last year. It's like, I need a good reason to take you on. I didn't see anything in Fulham specifically to make me think, oh, this is a terrible fixture for Haaland. I see nothing to make me think that he won't start again. Yes, Anderson and Bassi, decent centre-backs, but I almost feel like the fact the game is at Fulham rather than the Etihad might even be beneficial. I haven't got enough confidence in anything else to take him on. If other people do and they feel it with Salah or Ekitike is a cheeky one because I think he'll probably play. Saka, I'd think that's possibly reduced minutes. Probably a start, but wouldn't be surprised if he was off at like 65 or so. Bruno Fernandes are the ones that are most secure from a minute perspective. Chelsea, you can't, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. There's nothing.
Semenyo against Everton. It's okay. But we haven't even said we haven't even really said what the best captaincy is this week. It's Nick fucking Voltemade.
Would you captain him over Haaland?
Your face.
Would you captain him over Haaland?
I'll be very honest. My vice captain this week will probably be Bumo. And that's just on the basis that
I've got a bust on Bumo right now.
Not that I think that Bumo is better than, say, Voltemade, but I would look at Bumo on Thursday and go, you are 100% a starter unless you get injured. Voltemade is not in the 100% bracket for Newcastle.
No, Gordon could come in for him.
90 to 95%, which is more than enough. But for a vice captain, I'll take the 100% that's got West Ham at home. That's fine. Yeah, I'll be captain Haaland. I got one question, quick one.
Go on then.
This is from Helena on Blue Sky. Need to sell Pope. Who's the best replacement?
Do you need to sell Pope? You think Ramsdale is locked?
Yeah, I think Ramsdale will stay in for a couple of games now. I think Ramsdale will at least play these 2 home games and then reassess after.
So we're not going to give the obvious answer of David Raya, are we here?
The obvious answer is for Bruggen, mate. Particularly if you've got the Bravkaj rubber goalkeeper.
I mean, you'd say that because you just bought him on Wildcard.
I'm finally ahead, Suj. Malick Thiaw, I'm ahead.
I don't think Verbruggen's about to keep loads of clean sheets, James.
No, neither do I. I've owned him all season.
So I suppose that it depends what you're trying to achieve, right? If you just want to go with the cheapest player in 4.4 and move the money and spread it elsewhere, then you're right. It's Verbruggen. If you want to keep as many clean sheets as you possibly can, it's David Raya. And somewhere in between is a Sanchez or something like that.
David
no,
Raya,
exactly.
Mate.
So I don't know. It depends what you're trying to achieve here. Nick Pope's what, 4.95 million? Is he?
I wouldn't consider Ramsdale at this stage, by the way, because you might sit there in a couple of weeks and have the reverse problem.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of good options, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be going to Petrovic, which is where I am. Maybe Sanchez. If you don't have any Chelsea defensive coverage and you want to kind of hedge that off, then I don't mind going to Sanchez. He's not crazy money at 4.8. But otherwise, I think, probably Verbruggen is the next best option.
Sales?
No.
Vicario?
Yeah, no.
Areola?
No, he had a good game, made some good saves, but no, because again, there's no clean sheets there at all. Not for that money.
Yeah,
not for that money.
Although I've taken the piss out of Verbruggen all season, ultimately, it's now 3 clean sheets in 4. I think there's every chance we'll be sitting this time next week and going, fuck me, Brighton a third. I think that's a possibility.
Yep.
I ain't going to tell you which one of Chelsea or Man City they might overtake.
No. Well, let's sit down this time next week and see if we are talking about Brighton in third. Right. That's a wrap on this week's episode of Planet FPL, though we will have another episode coming straight at you at the end of the week on Thursday, reviewing 9 of the midweek games. So make sure wherever you are listening to the podcast on audio, if it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Google Podcasts or whatever it might be, you're subscribed or you've hit the notification bell, and you'll get alerted as soon as any of our content goes live. If you're on YouTube, do exactly the same. Give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying all of our shows, and we'd love to have you as part of our Patreon community. As James mentioned earlier, most importantly, stay safe, look after yourselves. Don't forget tomorrow's deadline. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other and play it your way. Cue music, please. Man, shout.